All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Deal Heal Fulfill community. Good morning, everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in one more time, one more morning. Grateful for another day and grateful for another morning. Blessings to all of you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Do me a favor again, like I always say, do me a favor, hit that uh, invite button, invite your suggested friends to join our community here on Facebook. These videos also goes out live to YouTube, just so I can put it out there. But everything else inside of the community is in our private Facebook group on uh, Facebook. So make sure that you guys um, sign into that. Let me do this real quickly because I don't know why this thing is still going on. It should be off. All right, cool. It's off. All right. So, good morning. Good morning again. Forgive me. Like I was saying, hit that invite button. Invite your suggested friends to join our Deal Heal Fulfill community. Blessings to you all who are here. To all of our new members, make sure that you fill out that the form to get you a free gift. I want to send you a free gift and some extra information that you may not have. So make sure that you guys fill that out as well. Also, today, this morning, we don't have a Meet the Community interview, but we do have one at 12 today. Yes, and we should have someone from the community who will be interviewed today. Again, I love doing the Meet the Community interviews because it allows me to introduce amazing people to other amazing people, right? We have a great community, steadily growing. We're almost at 600 people, active members right now, and we're steadily growing, right? And so, yes, definitely love the fact that we are growing, and I get to introduce, the community to the community because we don't know, even though we know how awesome, I know how awesome you are. Other people don't know how awesome you are because they don't know that you're here. So sign up for your Meet the Community interviews so that we can interview you and introduce you to the rest of the community so we can support you in all of the things that you do. So again, thank you guys for I gotta stop saying again. I say that so much. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you check out our resources that we have. Check out our guides tabs. We have several tabs there that introduces us to different things. I'm very personable of making sure the things that I learn, the things that I'm involved with, I push out to the community. So I definitely have a guides tab for entrepreneurship. There's a guides tab for becoming a speaker. There's a guides tab for books to grow on. That one I really like because I share a lot of the books that I have that I have read, and that I found has been inspirational to me, instrumental also to me in my journey. But also I get to highlight the books of some of the members of our community that have our community members have written, and they are also in that tab, in that guys tab for books to grow on. And what did I say? I said entrepreneurship. Several entrepreneurship, books to grow on, becoming a professional speaker, which means slowing down so that you can pronounce your words correctly, right? What is the last one? I can't think of the last one off the top of my head. But again, check out that guides tab, where you guys can find more information about things that we not offer, but things that we're want to make sure that you know about that can be instrumental in your growth and your journey. So make sure that you guys are checking that out in our guides tab. That being said, what is today? Today is Tuesday. Tomorrow is podcast release day for the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Every Wednesday we release an episode, so we do have an episode coming out tomorrow. But also this Friday, I'm gonna have to check my schedule and make sure, but I believe this Friday, which is the first Friday in February, we'll restart releasing the episodes of the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. Both of those can be found um, at our YouTube channel. Yes, on our YouTube channel, which is the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. Again, that's Deal to Heal Podcasting Network on YouTube. There you can find the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, which will be releasing episodes every Friday. Okay, I got that out. Releasing episodes every Friday, and also the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, as you know, which is our longest running podcast. We're at 170 something episodes at this point. So make sure that you guys, again, go check those out for our podcast release day at Deal to Heal Podcasting Network channel on YouTube. And also we're trying to get our YouTube channel up to over our first 1,000 subscribers. So make sure, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, go over to YouTube, look up Deal to Heal Podcasting Network, and subscribe. We have a lot of information there, including, of course, the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast is there. The Girl Dad Discussions podcast is there. The Earn and Irv podcast is there. Pilot podcast that we shot. We did 7 episodes, I want to say, of that one. Hopefully to be picking that back up soon. And then we have the Faith Walk Love Talk podcast, which is the Bible study podcast that my sister has been doing for over 3 or 4 years now. Every Tuesday, a new episode drops, a new live drops, and that can be found there at the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network, as well as some other things. I have some other videos that's there, some videos of me speaking, a couple of speaking engagements, some short clips and things of that nature. So again, go to the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network and subscribe and share. Also, our podcast is definitely on our regular or other podcasting networks, podcasting listening platforms, should I say. So make sure that you guys are going to check that out too. Also, make sure you guys get your copy of the Forgiving Me ebook. Right now, I'm giving away my Forgiving Me ebook, the 4-step guide to self-forgiveness. We're giving away absolutely free. So when you go to ebooksbyejames.com, you can get your copy of the Forgiving Me 4-step guide to self-forgiveness. While you're there, though, make sure that you check out our other ebooks, including the 4 core, which is the 4 core values that every daughter should get from her father. That is there. And also From Males to Men, which is a male mentoring ebook for young men that is making that journey into adulthood. So make sure that you guys purchase those, right? So you get your free copy of the Forgiving Me ebook, but then also make sure you do me a favor and purchase one of the other ebooks that is also there and available, including the Start Your Podcast Now ebook, right? People always ask me, how do I start a podcast? And so I made an ebook about it to make it really easy for you guys. So Start Your Podcast Now ebook is there and available at ebooksbyejames.com. Again, that's ebooksbyejames.com. Get your free copy of the Forgiving Me, the 4-step guide to self-forgiveness. And while you're there, grab one of the other ebooks and give your support. So we thank you in advance for that. Let's jump into this thing, right? So the last couple of days, I've been really talking about and really kind of fleshing out this idea of living the life that you love, right? And I have talked about, if you go back and watch some of the other videos, starting last Friday, I think Friday was the first one that I did, that I really started going through this idea of living the life that I love, right? Or loving the life that I live, however I said it. But I really want to jump into this, not jump into it, but I really want to dive into it a little deeper, because I think is the more I dive into it, I think is helping me to grow and helping me to figure out some things in my life. And so I'm walking through this in real time with you guys. And just by some of the comments that we've gotten in the in the community, I think it's kind of resonating with some of you guys too. And so I just want to go on this journey and dive a little deeper into it and see where it leads us, right? See where it leads us. We can take this journey together. So today, what I wanted to talk about when I'm talking about loving your life, starting with our family and friends, right? And so as adults, we don't usually think about peer pressure, right? Because we don't necessarily think about peer pressures, when we're kids and our kids are in school and things of that nature around other kids, and it's like, yeah, you got peer pressure from other kids, but we don't really connect ourselves. I mean, we don't really think about having peer pressure when it comes to being an adult, right? We don't really look at it that way. It's like, no, I'm good. But the fact of the matter is, we have peer pressure as adults, especially now in this social media generation where everything is online, right? Everybody's posting, everybody has something to say, everybody has something to show, and it's all online. And when we look at it, and oftentimes we're like, man, I'm falling short in some areas because I'm not living up to this persona of all of these things that the social media is putting out there, saying that this is who we should be and this is how we should look and this is what we should wear and this is what we should drive and this is what success looks like. This, all of these ideas that has been being put out and being put before us. And I think it's like a whole another level of peer pressure, right? Because the social media, we don't even know who these people are, and that's one of the things that makes it so mind blowing almost to me. Is we are taking so many ideas and we're taking so many opinions from millions of people who we don't even know. You know what I'm saying? It's like, who comes up with this stuff? And then everybody jumps on the bandwagon and starts doing these things or starts sharing these ideas. And then because what seems like to be everybody on social media, some of us take it to heart and say, well, this must be what I need to do. This must be what I need to look like. And I often talk about even like the beauty standards of today. And I'm just talking from my own my own experience, my own heart, right? So please don't get offended if I say something that, hurts your step on your toe a little bit, but I'm just a person who likes natural beauty, right? And so I don't personally care for a lot of, makeup on a woman or anybody, really, but for a woman, I don't really care for a lot of makeup. I don't really care for the eyelashes and all of those things. The hair, I'm in with. I don't care for colors, right? Some people have purple hair, green hair, and I'm like, nah, I'm good with that. This is just me. This is just me. But the reason why I bring that up is because a lot of times we do what looks like it's in style. It's like when the nails came out and everybody wore long nails, and then they had the pointed nails or whatever. Then now everybody wearing that. Then somebody decided to put on extra eyelashes, and then now you got some eyelashes that touch your eyebrows. And it's like, what? Like who told you that was attractive? Like what man told you that was attractive? Because I think a lot of times, and I'm going on a rant, but I think a lot of times some of our young ladies take their idea of what beauty is from other women. It's like, okay, this is what we all doing. And it's like, did you guys ask any men if that was attractive? You know what I mean? So that's why I always say that a lot of times women they believe they're competing for men, but they're really competing against other women. Like, because a lot of things that they do Like men don't even find that attractive. It's like you guys are doing that for yourself. I gotta have my face beat and all. I gotta have extra stuff and the hair and all that. It's like we don't care about all that. I mean, we do like to have a nice looking young lady, to find you attractive. But a lot of the extra stuff, we never said that we wanted that. Y'all did that. Anyway, that being said, the reason why I went down that street is talking about the pressures of, peer pressure and the pressure of living up to an idea that has been pressed to social media by people that we don't even know. For reasons why we think that we're doing it for a certain reason is like, yeah, but that's not even getting you what you want, right? And so I just want to address this again, because we don't necessarily think about peer pressure as adults, right? And so when we're looking at peer pressure, we got the social media, that's one thing. And then we got our family and our friends, and the things that we're doing that we may be the first in our community to do something, right? We may be the first one to want to move out early, move out the house and get our own spaces. We want to be the first one to move out of the neighborhood that we're in and move to a different space or even a different state, or we may be the first one to go to college or the first one to want to start a business. A lot of things that we do, sometimes we find ourselves being the first one who stands out from everyone else because we decide to do something different instead of staying in that same circle. And sometimes that can cause some peer pressure. It can cause some pressure in your family. It can cause some pressures in your friends, amongst your friends. And one thing that I learned early is that our families a lot of times are our first bullies, right? And so we talk about bullying in school, with the kids and the kids bullying other kids, but they learn that from somewhere, right? No kid just wakes up and say, okay, I want to be a bully today and I'm going to bully some other kids. It's a learned behavior. Everything that we do as children are learned behaviors because we come into this world as a blank slate. Our minds, our ideas, we're just wide open. And so when we start taking in information, we're just processing everything real fast. And so even being a bully is a learned behavior and it's learned from somewhere, right? Generally, it's learned at home. And, I think we all deal with it on different levels. All of us don't, take to heart and become a bully and bully other children or other people, because there are adult bullies too. Bullies grow up, you know what I'm saying? And if they don't have a change of heart, then they don't have a change of personality. So they still are bullies, even in adulthood, even in the workplace, even on jobs, especially with people of authority. You get those people who have been bullied or have been bullies or have been bullied. Now they are ascended into some kind of position of power, and then they abuse that power by becoming bullies over those who are under them, right? Instead of leaders, they become bullies in that space. But again, our families a lot of times are our first bullies, right? And so we have our families who, whether it's our friends, our siblings, who may begin to bully us to do things that they want us to do. Again, there's a culture within our families, as well as within our neighborhoods and our culture, but there's a culture within our families of this is what we do, right? As a family, this is what we do. And we think about, we start talking about generational curses and things of that nature that's passed on from one generation to the next generation to the next generation. It's a lot of times because we've built a family culture, good or bad, and it's like this is what we do, right? So I'll take my family and for consideration. My family, I come from a family of church people, right? A family of preachers and ministers and pastors. So it's almost the same thing. This is what we do. So we have generations one generation after another, where there's pastors and there's ministers, and then next generation pastors and ministers, and it's just expected. Like, this is the family business, as we say sometimes. This is the family business, and so we have these cultures that we pass down from generation to generation in our families, but some of those are not good, right? And so we are pressured to be someone who we're not. We're pressured to conform to the norm of the family or to the norm of our friend group. So there are some things that we have to do to help to bring us out of those spaces. So when we're talking about living the life that we love, we have to be okay with changing the narrative of what makes us happy, what makes us love our families and friends. And so there are some things that we have to do and be okay with, right? And so I'm going to use myself for example, and these couple of examples that I have, because fortunately for me, this is not an area that I struggled with, right, earlier. Probably when I was really young, I did, but once I kind of got, teenager, going into my teenage years, I was very confident in who I wanted to be. So I taking myself for example. So when we're talking about, living the life that we love and loving our friends and family, right, in that area, sometimes we have to stand out on our own, because we can't be pressured by our friends and family because of something that they want us to do that doesn't make us happy. But that being said, it's not always an easy feat for us to be ourselves in those areas or in those environments. So one of the things I want us to realize, that I want us to do, is don't be afraid to be alone, right? And so when I say don't be afraid to be alone, I don't mean don't be afraid to be lonely, right? I don't want you to be lonely, but I don't want you also to feel pressured that you have to be a part of a certain group or a certain family or a certain gathering, if that's not where your heart is, right? You don't have to do it just because everyone else is doing it. And so that sometimes causes us to have to be like, you know what, I'm good, I'm gonna sit this one out. So in my lifetime, I've never been like a party guy, or never did clubs and things like that. That just wasn't me. Even though at a young age, especially teenagers, right after high school, like 18, 19 years old, going into our 20s, my friend group, my peer group, was very much into the club scene, very much in, especially the strip clubs. That was like the weekend thing. Like, all right, we're going to the club, and I'm like, all right, I'll see y'all when y'all get back. Because that just wasn't my thing, and so I was cool with that. I'm like, all right, I'm good. I'll see y'all later. But I had to be okay with being alone, because probably out of my 10, 15 peers, family and friends that was in my group, the guys that I hung around, I probably was the only one that was just like, no, I'm good, because it was like, hey, we're older now, we're young adults, we have access to these things, we have access to going to these spaces, and they always like, all right, we're going, and I'm like, no, I'm good on that. I think I've only been to a strip club once in my life, and that was as an adult. And I'm glad I even thought of that, because even that was peer pressure, because I actually was about to get married, and my peer group at that time was like, dude, you can't get married if you've never been to a strip club, not one time. So we want to have this, what they called it, the whatever it is, when you go out before you get married. I don't even remember what it's called. Anyway, so they kind of pressured me like, come on, you got to go to a strip club at least once in your life. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And so we went, and I didn't enjoy it. They had fun, and I was just like, I'm ready to go. And we left. So that was the one time that I went to a strip club, and it was because of the peer pressure that I allowed myself to be, kind of pressured into that, just for the sake to say that I've been before. You know what I mean? But when we're going back to what I was saying, don't be afraid to be alone, because up until that point, and even since then, that was never been something that I did ever again. and I was just like, no, I'm good. If you guys want to go there, you guys want to go to the club, you guys want to go wherever you guys want to go ahead and go. I'll be here when you get back. And I had to be okay with that. And I was okay with that. And so sometimes us as adults, a lot of times we have to get to that space too, because it doesn't just go away. We grow up with kids as children that we're doing these things. We're wanting to be a part of the pack, we want to be a part of the group, and we want to fit in. And oftentimes that fitting in causes us some heartache because it causes us to do some things or be in some places that we don't want to go to. That's not true to who we are. And so that was my idea of that time. It's like, no, I'm good on that. And I was okay with being alone. And even now, I'm still okay with spending time by myself if it means going to somewhere or being involved in something that doesn't feed me, right? That doesn't excite me, that doesn't meet the needs that I wanted to meet, that I needed to meet. I have no problem with saying, no, I'm good. I'll sit this one out. And so, again, we have to be okay with being alone sometimes, because I would rather be alone and happy with myself to be in a crowded room in an environment that I don't care to be in, right? The next thing is not only don't be afraid to be by yourself, don't be afraid to be yourself, right? There are some things that we find attractive. There are some things that we find enjoyable. There are some things that we want to enjoy that our family and friends may not necessarily think is cool, right? Not necessarily think that they might not enjoy those things. But just because they don't enjoy it, don't mean you shouldn't enjoy it. Just because the group or the culture says that this is not something that we do, don't mean it shouldn't be something that you do if that thing is something that you enjoy. Again, taking myself for example, growing up, one of my things that I did, I never wanted to smoke or drink, right? Number one, growing up in the church, we were taught not to smoke and drink. And then when I just got older, I always had a mindset, again, I always been very secure in who I wanted to be. And my mindset was, I'm a good thinker. I make good decisions and I like being able to process things. And I didn't want to consume any substances that will mess with my mind, right? I never wanted to get high. I never wanted to get drunk. I never wanted to do any of those things because I feel that it takes away from my mental strength. And so I never wanted to be involved in those things. And so I remember at an early age, one of my best friends was like, hey, he wanted to go get something to drink, right? He wanted to go get some alcohol, and he wanted to get involved and start smoking early before we were legally supposed to even be exposed to those things. And I was like, no, I'm good. I was like, no, I'm good on that. I don't want to get involved in it. I don't want to do it. And what he did, he found someone else that was willing to, indulge in those things with him at the age that we was. And he became best friends with that person. We were still friends, but he became best friends with that person because that person agreed to do what it was that he wanted to do. And again, me being okay with that, being okay with being myself, and then being okay with being alone. I'm like, all right, you guys go do that. I'll see you when you get back, And not only did that kind of snowball from just my best friend, but then to a lot of other people in our friend group, right? As we started to get older, and then everyone being exposed to different things of hanging out and gangs and drinking and smoking and strip clubs and all of these other things that they were being exposed to as a group, they were indulging in all those things. And I was just like, nope, I don't want it. And so I was able to, again, just be myself and enjoy the things that I enjoyed and make sure that I was focusing on the things that made me happy, not being affected by the group, right? And not being swayed by the group. And not saying that I didn't, it wasn't sometimes that I didn't give in to peer pressure. I talked about going to the strip club as an adult. I think I was in my mid-20s when I did that for that one time. And that was just because everybody was like, all right, you got to go at least once before you get married. I'm like, all right, whatever. And so we did that. Um, and so in this space, when we're talking about, getting of age and smoking and drinking, one of the things that I told them was, I won't drink until I legally I can go purchase it myself, which basically means I won't drink until after I turned 21. And again, because we were in our early teens when they started experimenting with drinking and things of that nature. And so once I made that declaration, I'm like, look, I'm not even touching it until I can legally go buy it myself. And so, as you know, years later, when I turned 21, the whole group was like, hey, today's the day. You 21 now. Now you can go purchase it yourself. We gonna go do it because you said, you a man of your word, and you said when you can go buy it yourself, you would join us for a drink. And I'm like, all right, let's go. And so that was my first drink when I turned 21. I did drink a couple times after that, but then again, it just came back to me being myself, and I'm like, yeah, I don't even enjoy this. I'm good, and I stopped drinking. I never smoked, but I stopped drinking at all. I didn't drink a lot, but I just stopped drinking, period, at that point. And even now, I would drink a dinner wine. I do drink some wine, but like any hard liquor or beer or things of that nature, I don't drink at all. But that took me being okay with being myself when everyone else was doing something different, right? And just being okay with doing that, not feeling no type of way, just like, no, I'm good. You guys enjoy whatever it is that you're doing, and I'm okay being over here by myself, being me, and then I'll find things that I enjoy, right? And I often I've been talking about, finding hiking within the last, couple of months, which is something that I really enjoy, which actually is the thing that sent me on this journey of really looking at, living the life that you enjoy. And so again, I took my daughter hiking with me once. But outside of that, my regular family and friends group, no one's been hiking with me. That's something that I do with those who love doing that, right? With my group of friends who love doing that. And so, but I'm not intimidated by that. I'm not intimidated of being the only one or being alone in that space outside of my family and friends, because that's who I am. And sometimes when we're looking for our own fulfillment and our own happiness, again, we have to be okay with being alone. We have to be okay with being ourselves. And lastly, excuse me. Lastly, I don't know what that is. Lastly is we have to set our boundaries, and then we have to stand on it. One of the things that, again, when I talked about not wanting to smoke and drink and then stopping smoking and drinking altogether, as we grew up and hanging around with my friends when they would have birthday parties or, whatever they were celebrating for the holidays, they, of course, sometimes would indulge in drinking and smoking and drinking. And when I would come to these gatherings, the joke was always to offer me a drink or offer me a smoke, right? Every time. It didn't matter, because they knew that I would always say no, right? And so even now, years later, when I come to these gatherings, that's still a thing. It's like, hey, you sure you don't want it? And it's like, no, I'm good. I was like, all right, just making sure, you know what I'm saying? But they respect it. And I remember having a conversation with my brother years later. And one of the things he told me, he was like, that's one of the things I've always appreciated about you, was you always had your own mind. And once you decided what you were going to do and what you were not going to do, it didn't sway you, even though all of the rest of us was doing it or all of the rest of us wasn't doing it. It's like you always had your own mind. And I always respected you for that, especially, from someone who's very much a part of the group, right? Who's very much a part of the circle and even a leader in the circle in some ways, but for him to be like, even being a leader in some spaces, to turn around and say, but what I do appreciate that you are your own leader and you are good with your own ideas and your own boundaries that you set, and you didn't allow us as the group, as the peer group, as the family, as the friends, the circle of friends, to sway you to do what we were doing just because, everyone else was doing it. And so I want us to understand that, and I want us to stand on that. Set your boundaries. Know what you stand for. Know what you want to do, what you don't want to do, where you want to stand, and be okay with that, right? Don't let nobody sway you from that. So that's all really I got today. I just really want to kind of have that conversation with us. So we're thinking about friends and families. We're thinking about loving the life that you live and making sure that what you're doing is something that you want to do, something that you enjoy, something that's meaningful to you when it comes to your family and friends, and not being swayed because of something that they do. So being able to make adjustments with your family and friends so that you can enjoy your time with them and your time away from them, right? If that's part of it. And so, recognizing that our family and friends sometimes are our first bullies, right? They're the first ones to try to pressure us to do things that we don't want to do, to pressure us to go along with the norm, right? When we talk about peer pressure as adults, we still fall for it, being pressured by our friends and family to do things we don't want to do. Also being pressured with the peer pressure of social media to things that are being projected in the world by millions of people who we don't even know, that's all came together with this perception that says, well, this is what success looks like, this is what beauty looks like, this is what these standards are. And we have to be okay with saying, no, those are not my standards, those are your standards, and I will walk according to my own standards, and be okay with that, right? And so when we talk about that, I gave you 3 things that I want you guys to consider moving forward. Number 1, don't be afraid to be alone. Not lonely, but alone, which means there are going to be times when you have to be like, no, I'm going to separate myself from the group. I'm going to separate myself from, this activity. I'm going to separate myself from this organization, whatever it is, for the sake of your happiness and your mental state. You might have to remove yourself from that space, not being lonely, but choosing to be alone for a certain time, and be okay with that. Number 2, don't be afraid to be yourself, right? Think about the things you love. Think about the things you enjoy. Think about the things you want to do and create and become that makes you happy, that feeds your soul, and be okay with that. Even if other people don't appreciate it, even if other people don't join in, you have to be able to be happy with yourself and the decisions that you make and the person that you're becoming, and enjoying the spaces in which you activate and the spaces in which you stand, and be okay with the decisions that you make. So be okay. Don't be afraid to be yourself. And lastly, we talked about the boundaries that you set up because you're okay with being yourself, because you want to make sure that you're in alignment with your own ideas, your views, your the things that make you happy. You set up the boundaries around that so that you're not swayed by other people. And when you stand on those values, when you stand on those decisions, and you stand on those boundaries, then those around you will respect you for it, right? They respect you that you are a man of your word, that you're a woman of your word, and you stand on your principles and the boundaries that you have set. All right. So that being said, that's all I have for today, for this morning. Thank you guys once again, like I said, for being a part of the Deal Heal Fulfill community. This is a community that we all are building together, that we want to grow, that we want to add value, that we want to strengthen one another. So make sure that you guys are able to. Thank you guys. I don't know what I was going with that, but thank you guys for being here, for coming in, for enjoy being a part of this community. Do me a favor, as always, hit that invite button, invite your suggested friends, or just invite all your friends to come and be a part of this community where we are adding value and looking for value from one another to support each other and uplift one another. Also, make sure that you sign up for your Meet the Community interview. We do have one today at 12 o'clock, where we'll be interviewing someone of the community to introduce you to the community and show them being able to support them in the work that they do and the things that they are doing, and add value to the community. So thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal podcast, Deal to Heal, Fulfill community. Make sure that you guys also hit up our YouTube channel, the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. Make sure you subscribe and share. We're trying to get that over our first 1,000 subscribers. Make sure that you guys subscribe and share to your friends, and make sure you guys watch some of the content there. We got some good content. I don't think you'll be disappointed, right, in the content that we have there. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for being a part of the community. And until next time, you guys be blessed.